New Patriotic Party. And this evening, a former New Patriotic Party presidential aspirant has been talking. And in fact, even before we get into that, there's been some information coming through right now that the former Education Minister, Dr. Yawase Duchum, has officially also declared his intention to contest the flag bearership of the New Patriotic Party ahead of the 2028 presidential election. There's a reason why. The party yesterday has announced the decision to organize the flag bearership race, that's the contest for the election 2028 by January 31, 2026. That's generated some conversation. What is Agyapong saying?
He is criticizing the party's National Executive Committee's decision to hold early presidential primaries before National Executives elections at an extraordinary NEC meeting on Tuesday and further endorsements by the National Council. The NPP set January 31, 2026 as a day to elect a flag bearer for the 2028 presidential elections. This move deviates from the party's traditional practice where polling station, constituency, regional and national executive elections are conducted before the flag bearer election. But first of all, let's take a listen to the General Secretary of the NPP, Justin Frimpong-Kodia, who was announcing this decision by NEC.
With respect to the call for expansion of our electoral college, indeed, the committee spoke about it. And again, that decision as to the number of expansion or the expansion level will be determined at the delegate conference scheduled to take place in July. The committee also spoke about the time for our presidential primaries. And again, the committee agreed that that decision does not warrant amendment of our constitution. But in light of the spirit and letter of Article 13 of the NPP constitution, that power is clothed with National Council to make that decision. And National Council today also made the decision that the date for our presidential primaries is set for January 31st, 2026. That will be the date that we shall hold our presidential primaries. Because there's going to be a proposal or a motion for amendment for our constitution, a committee, or what we refer to as a planning committee, has been put in place by National Council to prepare and also implement directive that has been given to them for us to have a successful delegate conference to amend our constitution, the provision that has to be amended. A chairman for the committee is Honorable Joseph Osei Owusu.
Well, so that's the General Secretary of the NPP, Justin Frimpong-Kodia, there?
Yes, that's him. And also the former New Patriotic Party presidential aspirant, Boakye Agyapong, who expressed surprise at the decision. He has described it as nonsense and suggested it might have been driven by greed. He argued that adopting a top-down approach contradicts the party's long-standing reorganization structure, which typically follows a bottom-up process. Take a listen.
Idea pana Cynthia. Idea ye the fedi musi ye mutu no trust. Maybe so wine or sit down or your roof no. It's not no bare foundation.
Why would anyone construct the roof before building the foundation? It's either some people don't understand the game or they are being selfish and greedy. Why would you elect a flag bearer before electing your grassroots executives? If you understood the dynamics of campaigning, what is the point of electing your flag bearer at this time? There are 88,917 human settlements in Ghana. If you elect your flag bearer today and expect him to travel to engage Ghanaians in all these human settlements, he would need 10 years.
So what is campaign to see? What campaign as Who could you flag bearer this time? Eddie Akohefa. There are 88,917 human settlements in Ghana. The woman say, when you flag bearer ne, say onchi oma pro any Ghana for kasa in all these community human settlements. Over here 10 years. And some would near Yenina. But say over 210,000 executives.
However, if you have 210,000 executives from polling stations like we have, they can cover the entire 88,917 human settlements within 2 weeks. As the party we are selling first and foremost before the presidential candidates.
And son, presidential candidate in there. There is no way one person can win an election for any political party. Every polling station.
That was former New Patriotic Party presidential aspirant Boakye Agyapong speaking there.
Okay, so let's stay a bit further on this because you heard the General Secretary Justin Frimpong talk about a 9-member committee that has been put in place to plan the National Delegates Conference to amend the Constitution to reflect the new date for the flag bearership, because per the details of the Article 13 of the NPP's Constitution, they indicate that if the party is in power, they would organize the flag bearer elections 11 months before the election. But then, if they are not in power, they'll do it 2 clear years before the election.
All right.
That's if they're in the opposition, because that's what the details of Article 13 of the NPP Constitution dictates. But with the latest announcement yesterday, what that means is that there has to be an amendment of the party's constitution to reflect the fact that now they would conduct the flag bearer election 3 clear years while in opposition before the subsequent election, which is in 2028. And this is what Boakye Agyapong is talking about. Because what that has done as well is that now they're going to elect their flag bearer before they elect the constituency executives, the regional executives, and the national executives of the party, which is a reverse of what is in the constitution of the party now, that they would first elect the constituency, regional, national executives before the flag bearer. And that's what Boakye Agyapong is not too happy about. There's one person as well who's been speaking about this we'll get into shortly, but let me acknowledge the presence of Professor Samuel Edujemfi. He is a senior lecturer, Political Science Department, Kwame Nkrumah University of Sciences and Technology. Is a political historian as well. Is well versed in what we're going to be talking about. Professor Samuel Edujemfi, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, my brother.
Now, listening to the General Secretary of the NPP give details of that outcome of the NEC meeting yesterday, specifically about the new date for the flag bearership election, and then Boakye Agyapong's response or reaction to this. How does all of this get to you?
I feel like hiding under my table. I mean, it's strange because you ask yourself that what is the MPP rushing to get into now? It seems to me that they want to satisfy a single agenda to allow a certain clique to hold on to power. Within the MPP itself, the elections that we just held, it was very bad for them, 41% or 42% or so. It suggests to me that if the people decide to go into elections here, the electoral college, to elect leaders, they will indeed select new leaders, knowing that these ones have gone to elections and could not come back with victory. If that is the case, then it's a strategy to also go in and to also entrench the position of the commander-in-chief, here the flag bearer, who also led them into such defeat. Once his position is consolidated, he could use his sphere of influence to compel or to whip all the other individuals who hitherto may vote against this executive to be put to check or to be aligned to move toward a certain direction, to allow at least Dr. Baumier's constituents to hold. It is this same constituents, I believe, who may be able to follow him to campaign, support him, push him, and give him a potential victory or another defeat, a woeful one maybe, than the one they just had. So the internal politics itself is what is driving or what has occasioned this meeting, a hurried one, of course, to take such hasty decisions. I have followed through the discussion so far as presented by your own medium right now when Penny Dako was speaking. But the basis of it, I mean, I agree with him in two that unless they are looking at democratic centralism, which is quite, maybe you find that in Asia or somewhere around China, the Communist Party of China, maybe. But for that, you would not ensure that the flag bearer is rather, put into place before the other masters who come together to give power to the center are rather elected in the foreseeable future. You would rather want to do a bottom-up approach. That is democracy. That is what we refer to as liberal democracy, because you allow for the internal, first of all, the internal mechanism to suffice. You don't try to bend and change the rules based on expediency, right, to satisfy a skewed agenda. You rather want to allow the party itself to go through its own self-purging, where there is catharsis. Individuals are able to express their view and opinion, and such dissent is able to define the course of the outcome that will happen in the long run. But when you decide to artificially effect a change, what happens is that you are likely to cause a divided party going into 2028. And such strategies and such tricks do not really inure to the benefit of the party. I also see the element of having power within the party itself, holding on to it, and also finding ways or strategies to control them. And here, the use of money to buy votes may also rear its ugly head. Recently, a work that was done by my good self and some colleagues, Dr. Sebastian Palu and others, published in Journal of Contemporary Politics. We did some interviews during the primaries, the parliamentary primaries of two constituencies in Ashanti region. The findings are revealing. You will find the NPP, it's almost becoming their stock in trade, where they buy votes. And fundamentally, within their internal democratic arrangement, vote buying is something that it's close to them. So this particular exercise smells moneycracy, it smells corruption, it smells destruction of the party's internal democratic arrangements, among other things. And for me, I feel like hiding under my table. It's very simple. I'll tell you a story, an anecdote. The days of Edubuain, I was a young boy in Takrady, in Kinshongo. My mother suffered a lot post the revolutionary era, arrested and sent to the Air Force barracks, and she was dealt with. The days of the 90s when Edubuain went into election, when they would announce part of the results, which was exciting and showed that the NPP was doing well. My mother rolled on the floor in the compound of my father at Kusintin Zongo. This is a new story. This is the sentiment and the passion some Ghanaians have followed the NPP with. I sit here as an academic, and I'll tell you that I feel as if that some youthful exuberance is guiding the party to be, instead of wit, insight, and that which is committed to build a formidable force that is able to serve as a viable alternative for the country. I can tell you, if the NPP continues on this tangent or trajectory, they would get it wrong in the long run, and the NDC would deal with them in the foreseeable future. It seems to me that they are still playing games, and it's quite symbolic that they play with their own ideological framing. Today, I do not know whether they are left to the, or right, or center left, or what. I am told from their meetings that they intend to open an ideological school or something These are ideas we have put across there over the period. It comes to me also another symbolic and expedient position. Are you now thinking about this? I think that if you are thinking about this, then you must do right. Those of you who are students of law, I mean, once you speak for equity, then you yourself must do what is right. So fundamentally, it seems to me the NPP itself is not willing to self-correct, and that is problematic.
I see, but who is going to ultimately benefit from this? If you say that this is, from your own reading, geared towards benefiting a particular individual or a particular candidate, who's going to benefit from this? Because as far as we do know, there are maybe 4 individuals now who have either declared their intention to contest or testing the waters. Dr. Brian Agyapong, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia himself, Kennedy Agyapong, and then now we have just gotten information from Dr. Yawase Duchum, who has just posted right now. If you go on our Facebook page at 3FM927, this is some news coming through right now from the former Education Minister and Member of Parliament for the Bosanchi constituency. Dr. Yawase Duchum is indicated, quote, "With humility and conviction and a resolute heart, I, Dr. Yawase Duchum, declare my intent to run for the flag bearership of the NPP should nominations be officially opened by the party. Hashtag the Educhum factor." This is what he has just posted on his Facebook page, Dr. Yawase Duchum, 11 minutes ago. And so, Professor Educhum, amongst these 4, and then also possibly any other persons who would declare their intentions going forward, who do you see benefiting from this decision to run the party's flag bearership on January 31?
No, so it's difficult. I think you are pushing me to the corner. But as you can see, individual interests coming up, individuals who want to serve their party and country, showing their faces and announcing their interests to lead. At least you can tell that several of these gentlemen have capacity to be able to lead the party, and they have capacity potentially to also lead the country called Ghana. But it is important to appreciate the fact that when these individuals do not see a free and fair process within the arrangements, it will rather cause fragmentation. So no one is going to benefit at the end of the day, because the process they are pushing themselves to align to would be a process that will not produce a leader who is coming from the exact desire of the broad masses of the NPP. Because politics is about numbers. It is not only contingent upon the electoral college. It is not only based on the electoral college. It is also based on the broader masses of the NPP. And it's about numbers. These individuals have their own team in followership. You may want to test it with our Fanto and say that our Fanto's performance was a woeful one, Alan Kojo. But you know that Alan Kojo Martin's factor, for example, could have caused apathy against the NPP. And that in itself was detrimental to the cause of the NPP, even though it did not turn into a fortune for the Afro-Planto movement itself. So if such actors, such individuals who come to the table and have showed interest, go into such contest and they are not happy because of the fact that the democratic process of the NPP was not followed, things were done hastily to satisfy a certain cause or interest, like I earlier alluded to, what is going to happen is that these individuals may stay back. And I can tell you, some of these individuals and actors are almost becoming indispensable within the party. And even if they decide to go as independent candidates, they can hurt the NPP. And these are things the actors therein today must reflect on and know that politics is about numbers. It's not only finding strategies, screwing the process to fit one person. If they are not careful to do what is right, nobody wins. The party will go into oblivion. That is the point I want to make on that score.
But then again, also, there are those who are looking at the positives of this as well, that this could possibly anneal to the party, positively anneal to the party, because then if they elect their flag bearer by end of January next year, they will have some 3 clear years to, as it were, amend and address all of these fallouts and disagreements and disgruntled persons, as you have just pointed out.
Yes, so the basis is that you are looking at 2 major key ingredients here. One, you perceive that the flag bearer has the kind of, if you like, strength, like the fulcrum who would turn the whole system around. But if, for that matter, they end up electing someone, the masses do not lie because of how it was killed. How would that individual be able to bring the pieces together? So it is important for them to get the right person up there. Again, the gentleman you interviewed talked about, or the gentleman whose tape was played talked about, you need those on the ground, the masses on the ground. If you like, the veranda boys and the foot soldiers, the party foot soldiers, the executives at the lower level, to do the job ground up. Now, you want to take the decision from the apex and bring it down. That is why I said that unless we are testing democratic centralism within the party. But I think that the NPP has liberal democratic tendencies, and this cause itself doesn't speak to such liberal democratic tendencies. And for me, that is detrimental to the cause of the party. Maybe the broad masses of the party may not be ideologically framed in terms of their persuasion and philosophy, maybe their ontology and worldview about how they have constructed their own party. But I believe that they are also interested in who leads them, whether that person has the capacity to bring them victory. So it is not just some few people electing a flag bearer. The question about the masses electing a flag bearer must be that which the NPP explores now, not hurriedly trying to put a leader in place. 3 years, it's good a time to want to smoke the peace pipe, build bridges, try to go to individuals, and it will come with a lot of cost anyway. If the individual who leads the party is not that individual the people really wanted, it will come with a great cost to that individual. Possibly knowing the way the NPP has turned out to be, it may run the person down eventually. So it's a great deal of difficulty that they should brace themselves up. I am not in a positive mood this evening. Maybe my thoughts around these things may change over time, but I think that the NPP is in a serious quandary. That is the point I want to make.
And I do want to thank you so much for your thoughts on this. Professor Samuel Edujemfe, thank you for joining us. He is a political historian and also senior lecturer at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Political Science Department. Professor Samuel Edujemfe there. Now, we have the details of this 9-member committee, which we just heard the General Secretary of the party indicate that has been constituted to spearhead the preparation for its upcoming National Delegates Conference. And this was announced at the party's National Executive Committee meeting held yesterday. The high-powered committee will be chaired, from what we do know now, by the First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, the former First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joseph Osei-Osu. But who are the other members?
We have Vice Chairman Henry Nana Boakye, Dr. Charles Dramina, Haruna Mohammed, who is going to be the secretary. We have Honorable Jerry Ahmed Shaib. We have Salam Mustafa, Honorable Abina Osei Asari, also Divine Agohum Otu, and Hajia Safia Mohammed.
Well, a number of reactions to this latest development in the new Patriotic Party. You had Boakye Jacko there. Also, Kennedy Ohene Agyapong has been talking about this. Not too happy. It says that anybody who presents to the NPP members that analysis that a particular individual has to be given the chance more than once to contest as the flag bearer before the person becomes president, because Nana Akufo-Addo and the former president John Agyapong Kufuor all contested more than once as flag bearer before they became president. That history cannot be true. This is what he said.
Obia or the NPP Eddie Anim Abrana Rollins Ewoha Obi Entimin Kasa Eye Professor Duboahin. Ono your friend culture of silence. Ono no to me breaky that time Obi Entimin Kasa Obi Esro Rollins.
Everyone was afraid of the late Jerry John Rollins until Duboahin showed up. We didn't retain Duboahin because he didn't perform well.
Ono kura no okokuma ye no okoya ni modern mo answer ni no ya mfuna nkobiem obi a mpeso aka no kura kire wa
If someone wants to lie to you, they say President Kufuor contested twice and Anado contested 3 times before becoming president. The performance of Kufuor and the Kufuor when they contested the elections as NPP flag bearers were impressive. That's why we retained them.
Between 3 to 4 months and what the year campaign. Now votes are President Kufuor within that 4 months, no, and yes and no. And the President Kufuor as our course second term.
So if someone comes to say someone has contested once, so he should be allowed to contest again, tell them to go and check history.
Into a beer person or cultural say, Yansa, my assuming Kobiamwa, on starting Kabakosam, and will be NTA.
So that's Kennedy on Agyapong as well there. Clearly not too happy about this decision by also the National Executive Committee of the party. You heard earlier that that's Boakye Agyapong, a one-time presidential that's the flag bearer hopeful for the NPP, also not too happy about this decision that was communicated yesterday. And this is one that we're keeping the steam on here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Your thoughts, views, comments and opinions are welcome at 3FM 927. We read out to you and to the rest of the world. But there's some news coming through from the Education Ministry.